Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, Chapter 77. When we last left our heroes, we focused on Gray's battle with Wendy, as he kind of struggled to get the nerve to just, attack Happy and Carla. Did not stop Natsu, though, but he admittedly stopped after he realized they were Happy and Carla. But the day was saved by Aquarius, who tricked Wendy into believing she had been poisoned, which made her cast Raise on herself, which removes any abnormal conditions on the subject of the spell, which included the supposed poison. She was never actually poisoned, that's a whole other thing. And the yokai shit. Which then allowed them to save Happy and Carla, and eventually Urza. Meanwhile, at the Whiteout Village, Toka and Ferris arrive to see it all destroyed, but a mysterious person is there. So with all that said, let's jump right on into Chapter 77, Whiteout Village. And our picture here is of Urza going sword shopping, looking for a new weapon, though maybe this one's too extreme. And we see the sword kind of, splits and, probably curves up top. It kind of reminds me of the Keyblade from, the later Kingdom Hearts games. Anyway, we open where we left off, with Ferris gazing on the destruction of the Whiteout Village, and smoke is obscuring the trespasser from view. We look around, we see a destroyed building, some seemingly dead Whiteout priestesses, and that is, I think Suzaku was his name, from Diabolos. How did he get to Elantir? Because we know that he was coming to fight Selene, but we don't really know that Diabolos has any way to get to other worlds. And Ferris asked, did you do this? And Toka, covering her mouth, how horrible. But Suzaku tells her, nay, I was simply passing through. And the two of them, Toka and Ferris, just, stare, dead-faced. That can't be. No one would simply pass through a mountain village like this. Verily. And then Toka tells Ferris, this man has magic from Earthland. He isn't a human from Elantir. And Suzaku confirms that. Correct. Alas, I am lost. Is that his joke? Is the joke that he gets so lost that he ends up in out-of-the-way mountain villages in other dimensions or something? I care not for cutting women down like this. And just then someone else enters. Suzaku-sama was summoned here by me. Grand White Priestess? Okay. So the Grand White Priestess is alive. At least two of her retainers are alive too. And have summoned Suzaku. Which would kind of make sense. If the Grand White Priestess wants to kill Selene, Suzaku also wants to kill Selene. Right now we're all kind of on the same side here. And Toka calls, you're alright? And the priestess responds, I see you have made it back safely as well. Are you unhurt? It would appear so. Each and every one of these fallen ones is a Sumeaka. Every last one on my star is fine. Sumeaka means fingernail dirt. I'm not sure what that sentence, every last one on my star is fine. And Suzaku asked the question we're all probably wondering, Sumeaka? Enlighten me. And Toka explains, they are monsters born from hands. It seems they were camouflaged as these people. Oh, the hands, the hand waves. They come from the hand waves, hence fingernail dirt. They're kind of cast-offs of the hand waves. And somehow, with some kind of magic or spiritual arts, they're camouflaged as people. Okay. Suzaku, who has not seen the hands, I fail to understand still. But yeah, so that kind of explains what the Sumeaka are. It still doesn't really explain every last one on my star is fine. But anyway, the priestess continues, the hands haven't given rise to Sumeaka in decades. To that same extent, Elantir's magic power has become unstable. So I guess these are old Sumeaka, I'm guessing. And Ferris goes to go check on one. It's true. She really is a Sumeaka. And Suzaku looks down. What filth. And the priestess explains, All of this happened because a dragon known as Selene has settled in our world. And Suzaku picks up on that. Selene. And so I have summoned a dragon hunting expert from Earthland, and picked this fine specimen of a man. So yeah, Suzaku here seems a lot more noble than any other member of Diabolos has appeared so far. And I'm curious if that's an act. The big thing I'm really wondering is how will Suzaku act when he runs into Fairy Tail? Because for all intents and purposes right now, Suzaku should kind of be on our side. You know, we're fighting Selene. Suzaku wants to kill Selene. The rest of Diabolos isn't here, so there isn't really any of the long simmering animosity that we would have with like Kiria or Scullion or Madmoral. It's really just Suzaku, who has never met Team Natsu, and like maybe he would want to fight Natsu because he's a dragon slayer / part dragon or whatever. Maybe, but I feel like Suzaku, I hope, is the kind of guy that can figure out that Selene is the bigger threat here. Anyway, pick this fine specimen of a man. And then Suzaku kind of grunts. How mortifying. So I have found myself summoned with no fair warning as a bodyguard to defeat Selene. I mean, Selene, you were already trying to kill Selene, weren't you? But Toka says, I was also dragged around against my will. And the priestess asks, can we rely on your dragon hunting skills, Suzaku-sama? Naturally. And then Ferris tells him, for the moment, please tell us your story from the beginning, and allow us to share our circumstances. Also, Ferris definitely has some feelings towards Diabolos, given how they kind of interrupted the Alderaan plan. I'm curious how she's gonna feel when she realizes that he's a member of that same group. But anyway, back in the a deeper shrine, they're all kind of sitting, talking, and Suzaku says, to confirm, 'tis the work of Selene that this world's magic power hath become unstable? Correct, this is the priestess. She must be defeated or Elantyr's magic will run rampant, and this very world itself will vanish. And Suzaku replies, agreed. Destroying Selene would be nary a problem, were it not for Fairy Tail. So he has heard of Fairy Tail. Okay. And that gets Ferris and Toka's attention. The enemy. I know them as foes of mine guilds. Okay. So he has heard of them. There is some communication there. I'm still curious how he will react when he sees them. But I'm expecting more animosity now. But Toka tries to defend them. They're not bad people. They're very nice. And Ferris joins in. Can't we cooperate with them? And Suzaku kind of thinks, how odd. And the priestess is just more than happy to get rid of Fairy Tail if that's what it takes. It's fine. If they're in your way, just go ahead and cut them down. And Ferris protests, please don't. And just then, someone else comes in. Grand White Priestess, emergency! A second wave of Sumayaka. These ones are much larger this time. Oh. I misread that whole scene. That whole fucking first scene. I thought that those were Sumayaka that the Whiteout village had control over. But now it all makes sense. Now even that line that confused me makes sense. So the Sumayaka are the outside attackers. They're the ones that did this. And they were killed either by the Whiteout priestesses or maybe Suzaku was already there for that. I think it was the Whiteout priestesses though. And every last one on my star, I guess that refers to the village, is referred to as my star, I guess. That might just be an Elantyrian language quirk, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, that makes much more sense. It all of a sudden clicks into place. The priestess reacts, what? And we see the Sumayaka, they're a lot more monstrous. Kind of look like large demons, as opposed to the basic humans that the last ones looked like. And the priestesses I guess they're more like shrine maidens. They're not quite high up priestess level, I think. But they all call out, everyone, grab your weapons. Protect the village. And the priestess turns to Suzaku. Suzaku-sama, please help us. But Suzaku responds, nay. And everyone is just kind of stunned that Suzaku is just not doing anything. Why not? And Suzaku kind of starts to unsheath his sword. And, okay. I mean, I guess he does it anyway. Apparently. Because without even really moving, it looks like, just the bare act of unsheathing cuts down one of the Sumeyaka, like, splits him in two, across the chest. The Shrine Maidens scream out, what? The giant Sumeyaka! In an instant! What just happened? And Suzaku explains himself, just because it is already done. Okay. My theory is there's some kind of slight time travel power, or maybe time stopping power. That's my best guess. Especially because, like, he doesn't, like, my guess is he unsheaths the sword, and maybe the unsheathing stops time? Maybe? Which allows him to cut down the Sumeyaka, and then go back, and then sheath the sword, and then time resumes again? I don't know. This is just pure conjecture. I could be way off base. If it is stop time, that means that we will almost certainly be getting an alt-tier appearance when we have to fight him. Because the only way that Fairy Tail can move and stop time involves an alt-tier cameo. Which admittedly could kind of be, you know, one alt-tier cameo too far. It was great when he did it for Wendy and Shelia back in Alvarez. It was pretty good when she did it for Jalal against Gears, but even then it was not the peak. Like her appearance in Alvarez is the peak of that arc. And her second appearance doesn't quite hold up to it. And so her third might just be like diminishing returns at that point. But anyway, that's just all wild conjecture. I could be incredibly off base. Anyway, Suzaku responds, just because it is already done. And the Elder is shocked. Huh? Ferris thinks, well, what did he do? And Toka picks that up. He didn't even move an inch. But the Grand Priestess just swoons. That's my Suzaku-sama. What a hunk. And then Suzaku stands up. So, where is Selene? And the Priestess tells him, I've heard that she dwells in Black Moon Mountain. Acknowledged. She shall be cut down. And we see the Priestess gets excited. Oh? And should they stand in my way, so shall Fairy Tail. So yeah, that's kind of the question there is, how will he... I think the question here now is, how will he view Fairy Tail? Because Fairy Tail could technically be between him and Selene, but just because they're fighting Selene and he's going to fight Selene, so will he like try to stop them? Or see them as enemies of the guild and then fight them first? Or will he realize that he and Fairy Tail, at least for the moment, share an enemy? And we don't have enough of Suzaku to really get a good read on him. I don't know. I kind of think that maybe, at least for now, at least for given that Selene is so unquestionably evil, at least for now, Suzaku will be allied with Fairy Tail. Anyway, should they stand in my way, so shall Fairy Tail. And then we finally come back to Fairy Tail, like I kind of figured would be happening. Back on Black Moon Mountain, Urza kind of reacts to her yokai form. A spider? Me? And Wendy responds, and I was a cat monster. And Happy, like, ecstatic. Me and Carla were tigers! And Carla gets on to him, why do you sound so happy? And Aquarius turns to Lucy, and this one had her boobs out. Would you stop telling them that? And then Urza turns to Natsu. I wonder how Natsu and Grey would have looked. And Natsu has this, like, vivid fantasy of himself as, like, a candle yokai. If it were me, it'd be a dragon candle yokai. And Lucy gets on to him. Lame! And then Grey looks around. Anyway, this is where Selene lives. Looks like the foot of the mountain. What now? And Natsu snaps, I'll climb to the top and kick her butt. And Aquarius counters, no, the people here use some kind of strange technique. It's different from magic. And Wendy responds, we may not win if we don't take the proper measures. And Carla responds, let's prepare ourselves once we escape this place. That's not gonna happen, given that Youko is going down there right now. Yep, there she is. She floats in from the top. Thinking about getting away? The moonlit beauty god Youko. I'm going to change you into even uglier yokai this time. So I'm guessing they're going to have to learn spiritual arts, like, on the fly here. Which is very much, as I kind of pointed out in last night's Eden Zero review, a Mashima thing. You know, skipping training arcs is very much his style. And Wendy and Urza have the strongest reactions, of course, because they met Youko. It's her! That won't happen again! And Aquarius looks at her. So she's the one who turned everyone into yokai. And Lucy snaps, at least make me fully clothed! And Natsu and Grey get into, like, a battle stance. Her magic power. It's just like that snow lady. And Wendy, who is, you know, had the exposition dump from Irene at the beginning of the arc. That spirit power. It's different from magic. I'm enchanting everyone's magic power with Spirior. Now you'll be able to fight. But Youko just taunts her. You still don't get it. And something erupts from around them. The true horror of pandemonium. And we see she has summoned an army of yokai. All of them look really cool. To be continued next time. Okay. This is a fun chapter. Let's talk about the main thing first, obviously being Suzaku and what role he's going to take in the plot from here. And I think it's kind of anyone's guess. Like, specifically, how he will react to Fairy Tail. What will he view as standing in his way? How will he kind of define that? Will just their presence will that amount to his idea of them standing in his way? Or will he have, like, a conditional allyship with Fairy Tail? They have the same goal, they're all trying to take down Selene, and so for now, at least, they can kind of work together. And that's kind of the question. Suzaku also is just cool. I like him. He's just kind of a badass. We'll see how much that carries on. But for now, I really dig him. I think his design is cool. I think I don't know, I feel like he could kind of end up being sort of, I don't know, kind of I think his speaking style actually, wipe what I just said, but I think his speaking style actually kind of reminds me of Homura in Eden Zero. They both have that kind of, like Suzaku is even more old-fashioned in his speaking than Homura. And they're both kind of, I mean, maybe that's just like the trope that the Sword Master kind of speaks old-fashioned. I mean, I think it is the trope. But I think that old-fashioned speech kind of implies a sort of noble chivalric code, you know, especially that we see, over on page 5. I care not for cutting women down like this. Sort of like a knightly code. I doubt to the same extent as, like, Sanji over on One Piece, but still that same kind of vibe. So yeah, I'm curious how Suzaku will play into the main story. I also don't expect, I'm going to say definitively, because what I just said might have possibly been construed as that. I don't think I care not for cutting women down like this will affect his fight with Selene. I don't think it will really affect anything in particular. I think it's largely just sort of window dressing, for lack of a better term. It's largely just like, here's some, you know, that kind of attitude is seen as kind of emblematic of that chivalric code, and so it's just an easy shorthand of showing him as this kind of knightly figure, or I guess samurai-esque figure. I don't think it's going to be like he can't. It's not going to be like Sanji, where he can't fight women. He's gonna fight Selene. Yeah. Anyway, Suzaku's just cool. Like that. Please help us, nay, just because it is already done. That's just some good shit. I want to see the like. There are many, many reasons I want to see 100 Years Quest animated, and it's like a low one, but it still is one. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how he kind of shakes up the landscape of this arc. You know, in both previous arcs, the arrival of Diabolos has shifted things dramatically, and it's going to be distinctly different manner than it has in the Mercphobia arc and the Alderaan arc. Because Suzaku is a single person, and B, just very different from Team Kiria, or Team Scullion, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited to see how he kind of comes into play, in this larger arc. And then we get, the final scene, which is just seemingly a tease for going into next chapter, which I'm just gonna come out and say it, I don't think will go as well as the Wendy and Urza fights, unless I don't really like that, and unless let me lay out the thought before I actually just shoot it down. But basically, unless the yokai are in kind of this, all come from the same way that Urza, Wendy, and Lucy's yokai forms did. That, like, say, this giant rock guy in the corner was a rock that was turned into a yokai, and so could potentially just be raised and then de-yokaified. I think it could go that way, but I think it worked well as a punchline once, but doing it again would just not work very well. So I hope this is just an actual full-on fight. No quick thinking will save us this time. Especially because if it would work, I feel like Wendy would have used Raise first before enchanting everyone with Superior. So yeah, we are in for a real fight this time. I can't fucking wait. It's time for the actual Youko fight. And it's gonna be a blast. I really can't wait for next time. So I'm gonna leave this video up here. Hope y'all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!